Right, hello everybody. What I'm going to do is just show you a couple of things to get you started with TechSoft. Now when you go into TechSoft, you're going to have a blank screen like this. So what you need to do is you need to make sure it's the right size. So you're going to set up drawing layout and you change it from A3 and you change it to A4. Okay, now once you've got that done, you've got these two toolbars, one down here and one over here. Now this toolbar here gives you the basic drawing tools. So you've got a line, you can draw multiple lines, left mouse button click. You've got circles, draw multiple circles. You've got path tool, which changes directions, like dropping an anchor every time. Double click to finish. And you've got, what else can I show you? Oh, you can add some text. So you click ABC. So you can say DT. Okay. And you can click OK, but it will probably be too big if you click OK. There you go, quite big. So what you do is get your arrow tool, select it, and this little box appears down here. And you can go to property, and you're back in where you wrote DT rules, and you can press settings. You can change the font here. You can change the height to make it half the height, 10 mil. And you can change the fill, so it says you've got no fill, which is quite handy because you can add your own color by hand, which is really useful. And they are DT rules. And now, just like many other programs, you can move it around with the box in the middle. You can enlarge it. You can change the angle. You can also press that button there that copies it. That's quite useful. And you can resize it again. Okay. Now, when it comes to deleting things, there's delete any, which will delete everything, all of that line. Or if you hold down delete, you can delete part of a line, which is really handy. Where they overlap, so that overlaps, it cuts, that overlaps, it deletes, that overlaps, it deletes. So you can sort of tidy things up like that. Now you will at some point need to know the size of things. So this is really important. You've got the dim tool, so dimension it's short for. Click on it, click once, click a second time, you move to the edge, click a third time, it's 47 millimeters. Everything in TechSoft is millimeters, so click once, make sure you click again, 24 millimeters. If you wanted to find the radius of that circle, you'd hold down dim lines, you click to radius, click, and there you are. Now, that's one way of doing it. You can also draw a line and then go to select that line and go to property, and you can change the length of the lines, make that 100 mil. One way of doing it. Also change the angle of it. So that's one way of doing it, or the easiest way, to be honest, if I just delete all of this, you can also draw a box around to delete stuff and press delete on the keyboard. The easiest way is to switch your grid lock on. Now there are all these little dots as part of your grid. Now if I double click where it says grid there, those dots are 10 millimeters apart. I can change them to be 5 millimeters apart, like that, and you can zoom in. And you can then, if you keep an eye on this, where it says REL down here, you can click the square tool, shape tool, and I can click once, it zeroes it, and now that's 5 by 5. So if you look down here, it's 5 by 5, and then it's 10 by 10, and then it's 15 by 15. And so a quick way of doing it, and you can of course double check by using dimension tool to do that, and to do that, 15 by 15. So have a play around with those tools. Make sure you are definitely able to add text. And able to make sure it's got no fill. That's really important. Because once you've done that, you can then colour that in at your own leisure. You can also make sure you're able to double check the size of what you've done. Now, one little thing here, once you've got grid lock on, you might not be able to select what you want because you can only select the dots. So if you switch grid lock off, and select that end of the word and that end, you can then find the exact size rather than the grid lock. Okay, have a play around with that.